Thank you, Chris. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on signing day today. We will begin with a session with new head coach Brent Venables. He will answer questions for about 30 minutes before he has to move on to his next engagement. And then he'll be followed by Coach Stoops for about 15 minutes. So, Coach Venables, if you'd like to start with some brief opening comments about the 2022 signing class up to this point.
All right. Good afternoon. Appreciate everybody being here. It's good to be off the road. Finally, take a deep breath. We've covered a lot of miles here over the last 7 days in the recruiting trail, and we've got just really exciting about the 13 guys that we announced today that signed. We are waiting on a few other young men to announce here in the next 24 hours or so. I feel terrific about the group of young people that we're bringing in and their families. Think that they represent the values, that we also value. We covered 6 states with this class of 13, 8 on offense and 5 on defense, and 7 on offense and 6 on defense. I got 2 lists here. Maybe we got our fingers crossed for the other ones, but they're all high school. No transfers with this first group of guys. Again, 2 D-line, 2 DBs, 2 linebackers, 2 OL, 2 receivers. I got a running back, a quarterback. Just a group that again covers every level at every position outside of specialty position. We've had 3 new additional commitments since we started the week initially recruiting, and just feel terrific about, again, as much as anything else, the type of people that they are. They fit, again, our philosophy, and again, our locker room, the things that we value, they value as well. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Okay, let's start with Eric Bailey.
How important is it for you to create relationships with families during this process? And how tough was it just being a 10-day stretch when you try to create those relationships to either keep a recruit on board or get a new one?
Well, again, recruiting always has been and always will be about building relationships and trust, understanding of who each other are. What I think is a testament to keeping the vast majority of the class together since the day I hit the ground running. There was a few decommitments prior to ever even getting a chance to get in front of them. But the young people they got a chance to get in front of, what I think was very evident right away for me was that how good of a job the staff had done at creating loyalty, deep-seated relationships that kind of get you through a time like this. And I think that's was a testament to them and their efforts. The type of people that we recruited initially in the first place, and that gave us a chance. Their willingness to sit in front of me and to hear my vision of the program and how they fit in, whether or not it would be a great relationship moving forward. So it's not an easy process, as you can imagine. You get a lot of arms crossed when you walk in right away, and they've heard it all. They want you to be about it. And again, I just try to be as transparent, honest, upfront, and authentic on the front end. As I said before, there'll be no de-recruiting. People that use that term de-recruiting just really means that you're not being genuine and honest, upfront in the recruiting process. So we've got a tremendous product to sell. It's exciting. For me, it's easy. I am passionate about Oklahoma football, the tradition, the excellence. I understand deeply what that looks like, and so I think that comes across in the living room, in front of these prospects and their families.
Okay, let's go to Ryan Aber on the left.
You talked about building relationships. Obviously, you had recruited for Clemson prior to this. What was your philosophy when it came to some of those guys? Because after you left, we saw some kids decommit from Clemson. did you pursue any of those guys or talk to them, or did you have something set where you weren't going to pursue those guys that you'd recruited at Clemson?
Well, after I'd initially been contacted, I did hit the road recruiting with every intention of being the defensive coordinator at Clemson, but trying to be upfront and honest, in regards to my interest and, some of the communication that had taken place. I think that's just the way you do things, just try to be upfront and honest. To me, Clemson's an easy sell. That's what I tried to do. There's so many reasons. We don't have time in this press conference to talk about what makes that place so great. Taking me out of the equation is what I'm talking about and what makes it so great. And so that was easy for me. I'm, again, every bit as invested there at the time, in Clemson University and Coach Sweeney, how good he's been to me and our family. So I felt it was the very least that I could do to try to continue to help, Clemson through that time. And again, the speculation is important for me to get in front of them and continue in support of, again, both, their opportunity there and, again, their future there. So what was it like? For me, there was a few decommitments that was hurtful for me. I know the need that they have for those young guys. Clemson doesn't just keep recruiting when they get a commitment. Some places just keep recruiting. If they can get a better guy, they'll address it down the road. They might have to tell a guy, hey, we don't have a spot for you. And guys are left without scholarships. And that's not how, Coach Sweeney handles his business. So, by being upfront and honest and doing things the right way, sometimes that can hurt you in this game. But overall, it'll serve you well. But again, that's really kind of how it went down over the last week there with them. And I've even spoke to a few guys after they decommitted to say, hey, you need to rethink this and just try to help them, and just to hopefully be another source that could bring a little clarity in a very difficult process for both the prospects and for, the universities. I've not tried to continue to, quote unquote, recruit guys. I got my relationship with Coach Sweeney goes so much further than the football field. He's family to me. The rest of the staff there is family to me. And so, again, I've got incredible respect and appreciation and thankfulness and again, just trying to do things the right way in this profession. The pressure to win and to get players, I think people lose their way. And for me, that's always been an easy philosophy and value system to have is just to do what's right. And so I've tried to do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right side, Jason Kersey.
Yeah, Brent, I wanted to ask you about Kobe McKenzie, kid who I think was OU's first commitment for this class and was decommitted, committed to Texas, and then you guys had to work to. Can you kind of take us through what the recruitment of him was like since you've been hired and how that all came together?
Yeah. First of all, Kobe's just incredibly bright young guy. Just got a lot of life to him, huge personality. He's a relationship driven young guy, got a wonderful family, just a terrific story. And, has had as much loyalty to this program. Has been committed for close to 2 years. And, hey, as I told each and every prospect that I sat in front of, I don't blame you to, want to, hey, let me reevaluate this situation. There's a lot of emotions that happen. We talked a week ago about, how a 17-year-old thinks sometimes compared to a 25, 30, 40-year-old person thinks. And sometimes those young people can let the emotions get to them. And so that happens sometimes. But, what I appreciate about Kobe was his willingness to continue to be open to, all right, let me hear you out. And he's done his homework. He's done more homework than most prospects, just in regards to knowing your background, just intimately detailed, knowing the background. He'd jump on YouTube. He's watching everything from press conferences to schemes to knowing former players at multiple institutions. So he did a nice job with his homework, but he still had his guard up. So we got him on campus this last weekend and really try to bridge that gap from a relationship standpoint and what his opportunities here would be. And what I can again appreciate, he was just open to it. We watched a bunch of football together and talked about life and what he wanted to achieve in his life and just all the normal things that you do when you're trying to develop relationships and the trust that goes along with that. And I say more than anything else, Coach Stoops and Coach Gundy and the rest of the staff and our players, current players here at Oklahoma, were the driving force behind ultimately him, to me, making the decision that this is where he wanted to spend his collegiate career. Without that foundation, that level of comfort, that level of trust, this wouldn't have happened and wouldn't have materialized. So just really thankful for him. If you're going to build a great defense, it starts up the middle, inside, up front, and at middle backer, and with your safeties, you got to be really strong up that middle. And his presence, his size, his strength, his power, his physicality gives us a chance for exactly that.
We'll stay on this side. Boppers Billow.
Yeah, Brent, you mentioned Kobe. We're talking about the entire weekend between Jaden, Nick, Alton, just the vibe that was on campus and what that was like for you and those four committing on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, no, it was. We had a wonderful weekend. Obviously, we got on Nick and Jaden and Alton a little bit later, and things happened quickly, really fast, as we know in this profession. Certainly in the recruiting world, things can flip in a minute. And I thought Jeff Levy and the offensive coaches did a wonderful job of already having previous relationships. There was a level of comfort and trust through those relationships with Jaden and Nick both, and the familiarity and closeness of the University of Oklahoma to where Flower Mound is located also boded well for us. But there's a deep friendship between Jaden and Nick they were able to really kind of help each other through that process. But their families are just amazing. Miss Kimberly, Monica, Derek, Nick's dad, they were just awesome. Jaden's father, we FaceTimed him in and were able to connect that way. They had I think their family was split up. His little sister had a basketball game, so Jaden's father wasn't able to make it. But luckily for us, they're looking for the right things. Again, family, connectivity, genuine, deep relationships. They're looking for a place that certainly has had a great level of success, consistency. Everything that we do here from an educational standpoint to support our players, they're just really value the same things that we do, and so I think they immediately saw that. And again, I thought our staff did an amazing job, our recruiting staff and all of our coaches that were here at just being who we are and it really being an easy fit for both sides. AT was somebody that we had known previously, had not really weren't in the middle of recruiting him, but we had a relationship, have recruited Deerfield Beach and their school for a very, very long time. Coach Glenn just does an amazing job. He's about the right stuff. His kids that come out of there are going to be college ready from a mental standpoint, a toughness standpoint, a work ethic standpoint, an accountability standpoint. And his mother is just she's just amazing. The things that she's had to overcome, them as a family, lost his father and a grandparent recently, and the things that they've had to go through. Great story, but just a tremendous young man of simplicity, but physical toughness on the field, and about all the right things from a work ethic and academic standpoint. So those are three good ones that we just started a relationship with with Oklahoma, and so again, fortunately, they were looking for the right things and things aligned for all of us.
Okay, second row, Jesse Crittenden.
Hey, Brent. With this being the first early signing period with NIL, I'm just curious, how much did that come up in your conversations the last couple of weeks? Just what impact did that have on the process?
It was probably smaller rather than a big part. It's something that we're out in front of, that we'd like to address in the things that we're doing from an educational standpoint and facilitating that process. And again, maybe where it's even going in the future. So it is something that I think you have to have a plan for, and we certainly do. But it's typically with the right guys, that's not one of the first, second, or third things that's discussed. And if that's one of the first or second things, I think you have to be cautious, moving forward. But I think that there's nothing wrong with making a little short-term cash, and I think there can be a lot of good in that. I do think that you have to look at the long-term investment opportunities and investment on return from an education and a development standpoint that's really going to have more generational change than a little short-term money. But there's nothing wrong with those opportunities. It's the landscape that we have, and one that we need to promote, and it needs to be an advantage for us.
Okay, third row in the aisle, Dean Blevins.
Yeah, Brent, I'm curious about how you will approach the second signing period in February. The one kid, a top recruit, committed, is holding off, and I'm sure there are others like him all around the country. How will you attack February, the numbers-wise, et cetera?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm really excited about what's ahead of us the next really 2 months. One, what I know, this is a developmental game, and some of the best players in high school maybe weren't some of the top guys as sophomores and juniors. And these are guys that, and again, Coach Stoops alluded it last night on the radio show. Our first class, our first staff meeting, our first full staff meeting with everybody was January the 4th. And so we're scrapping together for 3 weeks what we hope to be a good class, and is a generational type class, whether it's Josh Heupel or Torrance Marshall, two stalwarts on both sides of the ball, or the Derek Strait who wins a Thorpe, or Brandon Everidge is a multi-year All-American, Quentin Griffin that wasn't even a starter on his own high school football team, Antoine Savages of the world, and I'll probably remiss on a few other guys, but those are some tremendous names, guys that again developed late. I use a guy even a little more recent, but it's still back in the day, was a guy like a Jeremy Beal. I remember Coach Stoops and I were recruiting a big-time in-state 5-star. Everybody wanted him. Recruit. It was, he was a hot shot. He was the next best thing, and he's kind of jacking us around a little bit and holding us hostage. And we had a coach, Paul Ressa, at his high school that had brought him to camp and did not perform particularly well or test well at camp, not a test guy. And he says, hey, my guy Jeremy Beal, he had a terrific year. He's a first-team all-district. He's all-state. Man, he had a great year. Would you mind looking at him and just tell me where you think I should, what level I need to call on him? So Coach Stoops and I, we threw him in, and like, holy cow. And Coach Stoops, he goes, can we get him? And I'm like, let's go. So we went after him, and we didn't have to beat many people. Everybody just had their reservations. Didn't have a great 40 time. He didn't have great length. He's kind of a tweener between Mike backer and defensive end, and we all know, most of us know how that story went. Redshirted, and then was a 4-year starter, a captain, All-American, Big 12 Player of the Year. Was drafted even though he didn't have the NFL measurables. He's a 5'2", 40 that played like he was 4'6", heavy-handed, explosive, disruptive, instinctive, and about his business. A great example for what we want all of our Sooners to look like. So that's a guy that within just the last couple of weeks, those are the type of guys that are there if we're willing to be patient and find them. So I think that's one reason why I'm excited, because they're there. Some of them we've already identified. We'll probably, in all likelihood, we'll have a few guys that we feel like even are in this class, the mid-years, that in the next 24 hours we'll be announcing. So we can't talk about them right now to add to this class here. But we've got tremendous numbers to continue to build our roster and meet our needs. There's a number of positions on the team that through attrition and some of the things that have taken place, they need to be addressed sooner rather than later. So we are certainly looking at transfer options. We've spoken to a few already and trying to vet those guys. And the biggest thing is trying to, again, bring value to our locker room, certainly meet the needs that we have from a functional standpoint, where maybe experience lacks or playmaking lacks. But it's very important that we do a great job of vetting, still doing a great job of vetting the type of people that we're bringing into that locker room, because we, trying to build a culture and protect the culture, continue to enhance the culture. It starts with making good decisions with those people.
Left side, Barry Trammell.
You've spent whirlwind 10 days recruiting. Well, the way college football is today, you got to recruit your own players all the time. You spend any time with sort of getting your new team solidified and settled, and particularly, of course, Caleb Williams.
Yeah, that's again a great point. That was as important as anything that we did when we started, was reaching out, extending a hand to them. Within the first few days, that's exactly what we did. Certainly we had a team meeting, had a Zoom meeting with them, and then had an opportunity to invite them individually. I certainly haven't hit every single one of them, but well over half of them have been through the office one-on-one. A couple of times we brought a couple of guys in at a time, and really just trying to be transparent and honest. Again, make sure they understand the vision, what we want for them, and but trying to get to know them too, find out what are the things that we can do, what I can do to make this place better, whether that's a day-to-day or a big picture. Really just trying to, more than anything else, let them know that I'm here for them. Our staff is here for them. You do have to recruit that locker room. I think that's the most important place, and that won't stop. It's not like, well, that's the first week of a new coach deal. That's an everyday deal, that you continue to recruit them. Nobody's more important than the guys that are in that locker room, and making sure that they have what they need, the resources, to have the kind of experience that they deserve from an educational and a holistic standpoint. They deserve our best. And so that's the best relationships, that's the best connection, that's the best resources in the classroom, and certainly on the field, nutrition, all of those things. So really trying to find out what we need, what they need, and again, making sure that as a staff we're doing a great job. Continue to enhance those relationships that we have in that locker room. And Caleb's been great. Had multiple conversations with him. Looked fantastic. I had as much fun as anything that I've done in a long time. Maybe that last shutout we had against South Carolina, we got after them pretty good against a rival. That's always good. I probably had more fun watching these guys practice and compete. Just have some joy, have some normalcy, do what they love to do. Have them opportunity to take a step forward as they continue to, again, get ready for Oregon in our bowl game. He was really, really good. He was really sharp, but we looked great. That was a lot of fun. But Caleb's been great, and he's had an opportunity to get around our offensive staff quite a bit here as well, and in front of Coach Levy, and as they move forward.
James Hale.
Brent, it seems like the NIL is being misused in some things in a disadvantaged way, with some schools talking about you're going to make X amount of dollars if you come to the school and things like that. I know that's not Oklahoma's way, but that some of your rivals have done that, and you lost a couple of recruiting battles because of it. Your thoughts on the NIL and how it should be used during, especially the signing day and through the recruiting process, and what do you think about some of the things that's happened over the last couple of days?
I'll be honest. I believe that you need to use it to your advantage in every way that you possibly can within the rules. But that shouldn't be the focus, again, of your program. And we want to attract players and families that are looking for all of it. And, again, the holistic piece. In my experience, and Coach Stoops would be the first to tell you, too, when the focus is all on just ball and now just the short-term money, and, again, everybody has their different situations. Families have their different situations. Institutions do. But if that's where all the focus is, then maybe those values don't align. We want to be able to provide, in an advantageous way, opportunities for our guys to enhance all those opportunities, all within the rules. And so I think we got to do a good job of knowing what are those, because I think there's some creativity that you see it's going across college football. And so my hope is that we all continue to stay in the front of it from an educational standpoint, the do's and the don'ts, and continue to learn more and more about it. And I think the NCAA is learning more and more about it, too, to be quite honest. I think a year from now we're going to be in a much different place. Don't know which way that's going to go, But I'm all for players that have the opportunity. They have the brand, if you will. They have the stage. They have those opportunities to, again, create maybe a short-term better quality of life for both them or their families. I don't see anything wrong with that, but at the end of the day, I don't think if that's the decision maker, if that's what breaks the camel's back, so to speak, it is what it is. There's plenty of great players that stand for the things that we value the most: education, holistic development, opportunity to be successful, being in a winning locker room, in a winning environment, to be challenged in every part of their life. If that's all their focus is, more power to them. I just think there's so many good ones out there that, that might be part of their equation, but that's not one of their top couple of priorities.
Come back to this side, John Hoover.
Brent, a little more about Nick Evers. The way Lincoln had recruited it was playing out every other year, odd-numbered years. He was getting a really high-profile quarterback. It seemed like there was less emphasis on the 22 class at that position. Can you kind of describe I don't know if it's chaotic nature of you and Jeff Levy putting your heads together trying to find that 2022 quarterback? Can you kind of describe that layout, what all happened there?
Yeah, I obviously leaned on him from, all right, who is the guy and why is he the guy, was important to me, and making sure that we find the right kind of guy that, again, had maybe some maturity to him, had a really good support system that's going to help him navigate, his journey, have some level-headedness, knowing that what you are as a freshman is going to look a lot different than what you're going to look like in 3 or 4 years. Just like when he was a freshman in high school and he's 13 or 14 years old, it looked a lot different than he was when he left at 18. There's a natural maturation that's going to take place, whether it be knowledge, maturity, decision-making, physicality, skill. All those things are developed. And so finding the right guy that fit there, too, not just a talented player that could come in and help us be a quality player at that position. I think looking for the totality, being the total package, and man, did he find one. They're amazing people. The more that y'all able to be around them and their family, the more you're gonna see, what we're talking about. Obviously, I really don't know how we got to that point. I do know whether it's Chandler Morse was here, and him leaving kind of helped create a void as well. And certainly the quarterback that went to South Carolina did as well. So I thought that Jeff and the staff did a great job at identifying not only a very talented one, but a great one when it comes to the total package. So they leaned on me just a little bit to bless, have their blessing, have my blessing for, who it was. But immediately after visiting with him and his family, just tremendous humility, incredibly talented, but tremendous ability, humility, character, education. And his dad's a Harvard grad, a recent Harvard grad. The real brains of the operation is his mama, Miss Monica, and just a wonderful family. He has tremendous discipline. He's a natural leader. He's connected from coast to coast. Kids love him, easy to follow, and just a great athlete. And he's just scratching the surface. He's got length. He's got speed. He's got arm talent. A very accurate player, and everything's still sitting in front of him. Mm-hmm.
We only have time for a couple more. Myron Patton on the left.
You just got here, so this is a situation where you're probably not familiar with the talent and everything else, but how much did you lean on your current staff that's here about needs for the class? And then what do you hope to add, either guys you're waiting on or into February as far as signing? What would you like to add?
Yeah, so, we certainly leaned on the current staff and really looking at, we've peeled that onion back, tried to see academically, where we stand academically, looked at total snaps of everybody that's played. So, it's one thing to say really looking at where the experience lies and where you lack. Certainly, they're bringing guys in the office one-on-one. You could ask them, be very candid with them about their intentions moving forward. You have some guys that have COVID opportunities. Managing that is a whole other animal. because of the flexibility that there is. And at the end of the day, you got 85 is your number. Because of the portal, they're allowing you a little bit of play there. We'll see how that goes. But the COVID options are very real and something that we have to evaluate. And so there's a lot other than, which is another important piece, their ability, their playmaking ability, if they've been a consistent player and experience and things of that nature. So the staff was terrific that way, and support staff finding some of those numbers that we're looking for. Looking at options, whether we take a high school guy, what's available, or if there's some potential portal guys. So we've scaled it all back. Lines of scrimmage are always incredibly important. We build our program and meeting those needs, and then there's a few positions that you're still looking to add to, whether that's in the back end, the back seven. There's some opportunities there. Maybe another couple of guys up front, maybe outside as opposed to inside, or maybe a little bit of both. Still looking at offensive line, tight end, potentially finding the right one there, and maybe a skill guy or two. So I just covered about every position. We'll all comers. We're looking for football players and guys that bring value. And as we sort this out anymore, you used to say, well, okay, let's recruit to a number, and you still have to do that. But you have to be mindful of the fluidity with the way the rules are. Somebody can pick up, you thought you had them yesterday, and you turn around, and they're gone. And so that is what it is, and so everybody's in the same boat. I like that the rules are the same for everybody, and the issues are real for everybody. I think our problems pale in comparison to most places. And so I'll take ours over everybody else, and I think that's a testament to Coach Riley, Coach Stoops, and this staff, the stability that we truly do have. And, again, there's a few positions that we would like to be a little more strongly fortified, and if you will, and so we'll work hard at doing exactly that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Last one, we'll go to Parker Thune on the aisle.
Yeah, Coach, we'd be curious to hear your thoughts on the value of peer-to-peer relationships and recruiting efforts, because, as you mentioned earlier and touched on, you step into a situation where you're announced as the head coach 9 days before National Signing Day, and we'd love to hear what kind of benefit it is to the program and how it increases the overall sense of buy-in when you have local guys like Robert Spears-Jennings and Jacob Sexton, or even a guy from way out of state like Jake Taylor, who are vocally reaffirming their commitment to Oklahoma as an institution, but also actively recruiting their peers as well.
Yeah, I think that and again, another good point, that you're recruiting leaders, trying to identify the best leaders as you go out and recruit. I think leadership is a very tangible thing that enhances the value of your team. And so I think that what you see is some of that natural leadership ability. Okay, now I've got this platform. I've made this commitment. I understand the value of, players recruit players. And we're a player-driven program, not a player-run program, but a player-driven program. And that's what happens. People of excellence attract people of excellence. Good players attract good players. And so making sure that you have the right kind of networking. Again, Nick and Jaden were two prime examples. Nick had a little bit more familiarity than Jaden, but I think there was a lot of trust between one another as they've gone on the recruiting trail and all of the competitive things that they do, whether it's the opening and things of that nature, that they've really befriended one another and their parents. That helps as they choose their path. So having our players recruit for our program, former players, that all really enhances the brand, and I think it sends a statement. For example, again, Coach Stoops is revered, by all of his former players. And what I love is their willingness to speak about that, and his willingness to be here, I think, says a lot too. And taking one for the team and as a leader, and jumping back on board says a lot. I think that says a lot to parents and families, certainly recruits, that Oklahoma is in great hands, and that doesn't happen if young people or, again, coaches have had a bad breakup. And so I think, again, it's incredibly important that our guys continue to lead, and we've encouraged that. You can't just be about you. It's got to be about your class, and it can't just be about your class. You need to recruit the next class. you're going to have a championship culture and a chance to make a run. I mean, you got to do it with back-to-back classes. And every year, you guys got to do a great job of helping us stay out of harm's way. Like, nah, this guy, I've been around him. We need to maybe move on from him. And that literally happens, and has happened virtually every year I've been a coach.
Okay, at this time, we'll excuse Coach Venables so we can get to his next event. Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate it. And we will welcome in Coach Stoops for